if you can't stop, especially that midfield trio of your Allende, Mbule, and Mokoena, if you can't stop that trio, just forget about winning against Mamelodi Sundowns, because that's the engine of Mamelodi Sundowns, and that's
Can Sean Bartlett survive this? Cape Town Spurs, 6 games, 6 losses, 3 goals. Moving on, MTN 8 this weekend. Big news tomorrow. We will be joining you for a watch-along, another live watch-along. We know you enjoyed the first one. We will be with you, joining you for the Sundowns versus Kaizer Chiefs semi-final, MTN 8.
And by the way, guys, and this is the one thing that, I mean, I went through the meaning of financial fair play and, you know, what it means. But please, Marco, exactly in layman's terms, what exactly is it? What is owed to him and is now taking legal action? He used to play, you remember, for Juventus.
Italian giants Juve are being sued by Cristiano Ronaldo. And this is now straight after a suit by their former defender.
Halsey has stated that it was a poor decision to rule out the South African goal that could have been decisive in Burnley's 1-1 draw with Forest. So do you guys not see anything wrong with the decision that was made via VAR? Are you all in unison? To say that the decision was a good one?
Two wins out of 2 for the Box in France, and 2 of the Premier League's most successful clubs continue to struggle, and we will be down to 2 remaining by the time Sunday rolls by in the MTN 8. This is ONSIDE ZA, powered by Betway. Get way more. Now use the affiliate code when you do join on the Betway app, ONSIDE ZA. That's ONSIDE ZA, the affiliate code, which really helps us out as a team to keep bringing you this content. And it also gives you the opportunity to make your money on the Betway app. It really is a great way to take opportunity with small bets using a multi-bet feature to really get a chance to earn big. So if you do your research and you get your results right, you can really earn well on the Betway app, like Super Sub did last weekend. So welcome to ONSIDE ZA. We are here in the Betway Stadium. I know it's not a stadium. I know that, but we can call it what we want. Welcome to the show, Len Moleko.
How's it? Sorry, I was looking at my bets for the Champions League. So far so good.
Tepe Worldwide, thank you for joining us.
Hi, darling. Thank you.
And Mr. Betmaster himself, Super Sub, thank you for joining us.
Betmaster.
He's the only one who's actually won some money because you lost me money.
Yeah, and can we just talk about how Super Sub and myself, I only got one match wrong, but Super Sub is the only person in this room right now that deserves an applause.
Danko.
Speaking of only getting one result wrong, if you bet on 6 or more fixtures, you get your money back opportunities on Betway depending on the odds of the results that you've bet. Dope. So it's a really good opportunity that if you do want to do a multi-bet, something small, guys, like 20 Rand, can get you a really big result, especially if the odds are over 1.5 for the results that you've picked. So if one just lets you down, great feature in the Betway app, the money back thing. You get your money back, it's still a win, and you go again next week, you know? Yeah. So guys, let's start off now. Let's keep it local. PSL results, Wednesday night. Super Sub is sad. PSL results, Wednesday night. Len Moleko, Supersport United versus Chiefs, because we'll get to why Super Sub is sad in a little bit. Len?
Yeah, it's a bit of a, I don't want to call it a catch-22 per se, because if you are Chiefs, are you really going to be sad with losing against Supersport United? And the reason for that utterance is you find yourself in a situation whereby on tomorrow, Saturday, you are going up against Sundowns in the second leg of the MTN 8. You have a 50-50 chance of making it through. Just don't play a draw, just try score a goal or score 2 goals. If they score 2 goals, you are through. So league-wise, Sundowns is miles ahead of you. The closest thing you have to almost neutralize your supporters is winning the MTN 8, which I have said in previous episodes is most likely the easiest cup to win in South African football. So I don't think Chiefs will lose too much sleep per se for losing against Supersport United, because I think the most part of the 2020 vision is for the MTN 8 return leg against Sundowns.
And then perhaps a top 6 in the league or something along those lines. Top 6 should be the ambition, right? In terms of the quality of the sides who are currently running away with it, we're talking about Supersport United, Orlando Pirates, Sundowns, Cape Town City also doing quite well, and Golden Arrows currently.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're thinking over the course of a long season, who Chiefs would be keeping in mind for who they should be as competition, because they'll imagine they've had a slow start. Recent fixtures have shown an improvement in form with some results, but obviously still falling short on the results side, but definitely improvement on form. Tepe, I mean, you're nodding your head. Supersport United, too good for Chiefs at the moment.
Generally, Supersport United is a formidable team. So, and, I'm actually applauding Supersport because they come from Botswana. They played in the CAF Confederations. They were still able to come back and go up against, a Kaizer Chiefs. So, big shout out to them. I would have expected them to have scored more than one. So that also is an indication that Kaizer Chiefs is not, in the gutter as, most people might have thought in the past. They are making great strides. And I think it's a bit of a bittersweet encounter for Coach Gavin Hunt, considering that the news came out a couple of days ago about him losing Luke Fleurs, and also just that story on its own, how he went over to Kaizer Chiefs, and it's a bit here nor there, because I'm going to quote something that Gavin said, and he says, well, I was quite happy for him to stay, but obviously he wasn't partaking, and the club felt that we got 4 centre backs now. If he wasn't happy, I wasn't party to the agreement and what actually happened in the meeting. So it seems as though what normally happens at Supersport is that Coach Gavin does not really have much of a say on the goings and comings, but he keeps who he keeps, and he just, soldiers on. So a big shout out to Supersport United, but also it was nice to see Kune, be a shot stopper again after such a long time. And we can't say that Kune is still not one of the best goalkeepers in the country.
Well, it is Heritage Month.
Wow.
Len, you're putting your hand up, but I'm going to get to you because I want Super Sub to have an opportunity to weigh in on this before we move on to the next fixture. Chiefs versus Supersport United. Obviously, Supersport's doing really well. We've spoken about Gavin Hunt. Is he working wonders with Supersport United in terms of all of the limitations that's in his way? I mean, we're still talking about stadium issues at this point of the season.
Look, with Coach Gavin, one of the things that I think is one of his strengths is that he can take any player and turn them into gold, basically. He gets those rough diamonds, and
he's a Zamazam.
He's an excellent coach.
He's an excellent coach.
And one of the most
he can work with any player, young, old. He can turn around things for himself. So I think losing that player, it's not going to be much of a deterrent from his ambitions,
Yeah, but, and considering that the player was not really playing.
And look, I guess what comes around goes around. Remember what happened with Zukamanja, how they got him from Orlando Pirates.
It had to be a Pirates thing.
No.
It's a personal, this thing.
No, but hey, we also thought, we've got Zukamanja for the season, and then off he went to Supersport,
But Zukamanja, remember, was at Bidvest, and actually Gavin coached Zukamanja before he went to Paris.
No, for sure, we know
that. So
he
was really his child to start with.
But when he left, he was an Orlando Pirates player. He was still contracted to us. But look, I'm happy for Coach Gavin. I think he came close to challenge Sundowns the previous season, and look, it looks like this season as well is gonna have his chance again, to challenge Sundowns.
He might.
Yeah, he might.
It's a big might.
At the way things are looking, who's going to challenge Sundowns?
Look,
we can say who's the closest. We can't say who's going to because
who's going to be the bridesmaid.
They are.
Yeah, because
there are leagues ahead.
Yeah, the Wednesday fixture for me, Orlando Pirates losing to Mamelodi Sundowns was a hard one for me because this was an opportunity for Orlando Pirates to get those points, because we are far behind because of CAF, and you're playing against Mamelodi Sundowns. Winning against Mamelodi Sundowns, it boosts your confidence, and you narrow the gap, and now it just increases the gap. And I don't think, I'm more inclined to say, like, you know what, the league is gone. You can
Farmers League.
Hey man, Sundowns is so far, and if we cannot win games like the Wednesday one, we're not gonna challenge Sundowns. You have to beat the best to be the best.
Okay, I was going to ask us to move on to that, but seeing as we already have Orlando Pirates versus Sundowns, Wednesday night's fixture, Sundowns coming out 1-0 winners from an early-ish penalty, and then didn't apply insane amounts of pressure on Pirates.
Yep.
I think in terms of dominance, especially in the second half, Pirates had majority of the opportunities in the second half, but not many really clear-cut opportunities in terms of the final third of action. So great build-up play from Pirates, putting a lot of pressure on Sundowns, but then the final delivery, not quite there. The final decision-making in that last attacking opportunity, not quite there on Wednesday.
Yeah, no, definitely. Look, and Sundowns is just so difficult to penetrate. It's just well-oiled, Those players find each other, they hold position very well. And I felt like Paris did not get to break their play. Sundowns was so fluent. And if you can't stop, especially that midfield trio of your Allende, Mbule, and Mukwena, if you can't stop that trio, just forget about winning against Mamelodi Sundowns, because that's the engine of Mamelodi Sundowns, and that's where things happen. Allende just feed on to your what you call Zwane, and that's where you actually win the game. If you want to beat Mamelodi Sundowns, you have to stop that trio.
What about Baloni? And I mean, we were watching this match, on Wednesday, and you mentioned that. But why was a certain player, Undlondo, not included in the starting 11?
Yeah, for me, I think Baloni is a great player, but I just feel like this game was much of a bigger stage for him.
True.
As a first game for Orlando Pirates, I think this game was just too much for him. He needed to, maybe come in the second half, settle the nerves a little bit, but to start him in that game, I could see in the first half he made a couple of mistakes. Not because he's not a good player. You can just see he's not comfortable.
It's the jitters.
He's the jitters of a game like of that magnitude. So I felt the coach, maybe he might have got it wrong there. He should have started maybe with Ndlondo, which I don't know what's happening. Maybe he picked up a knock, but nothing was said. But I just felt like Baloni he's a great player, but I felt like the stage was just too much for him.
Len, you had something to say about, and I interrupted you, and we've already moved on fixtures, but you had something to say about Chiefs Supersport United.
Oh yeah, that was about Gavin actually. I think more than anything, and you'll see the rate of success, in contrast to what Tepe mentioned, I think Gavin has a lot of influence into the players that actually go into his side. I'm not sure what the structure is like at Supersport United now, but you look at a lot of signings that he makes, he will always tell you that, the market is crazy. There's crazy monies that are being asked. So I go into the market, look for free agents. Yes, he does not do the deals, but I think he almost sort of like identifies who he wants. Is it Jose Ferreira, who was the CEO of Betway, if memory serves me correctly? Gavin, by the looks of things, would tell Jose like, this is what I'm looking for. Don't spend money. Look for the free ones. Gavin looks for the free ones, and he's always willing to let go of players that is like, hey, we're not gonna fight for this one. If the money does not allow, it's okay. And you look at the youngsters that he's brought into the side. Bezuidenhout. Is it Bezuidenhout? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is Bezuidenhout.
The one who scored in the 1-1 draw against Gaborone United
In Botswana,
in the CAF Confederation Cup. Shame, he almost had a he had a brilliant chance, but unfortunately he slipped. And there's the other kid who's 18 years old. He was called in the preliminary by our Fana squad of Nigerian descent, but he chose to represent South Africa.
Yes, sir.
The name just escapes me
I
now.
remember him, yeah.
Yes. So Gavin works with what he has, and he knows how to work with what he has. The difference with what happened with him at Chiefs, which is my speculation, is that
Igodaro.
Huh?
Yeah,
That's him, yeah. The youngster
The
from
Nigerian.
the
The
Nigerian.
one who plays for Bafana
Half Nigerian, half
Etiosa.
South African boy.
Etiosa.
no, man, it's sorry, you just said the second name. No?
Etiosa Igodaro.
Okay,
Yes.
so at Chiefs, I think there were too many fingers in the pie spoils or what. How does that
broth,
phrase
yes.
go?
Yeah, too many
Too many
chefs
cooks.
spoil the pot or whatever.
Spoil the
but
broth, yeah.
look, I get what you're saying, and I don't think that was the point that we were making. That Gavin has power and influence, but I think what he lacks is support from the team, and that's why I was saying, does he work wonders with what he's given?
Yes.
Yeah,
Do you
no,
know
he
what I'm
does.
saying? That was really the real question.
Yeah.
It's not that is he given the power, does he not have influence over the team, things like that. He doesn't have the support necessarily. He certainly makes sure that he has the influence and he has the power of decision making when it comes to his players and how they play, because you see a lot of consistency in that. But in terms of what he does with what he has to work with, he
He's
has to be
resourceful.
commended on that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
He's
I think
resourceful.
that's absolutely the word.
Yeah.
He is resourceful.
So in terms of like when you're a coach, right? If the general manager, the director of football, or whatever you call the president,
Yeah.
they're the ones who sign the checks. You come with your wish list.
Yes.
But I think for the longest time, Gavin has not really been in a side whereby he was able to go buy the best out there. He found what he made the best for the rest to buy.
That's it.
Yeah,
And
but
that's why
what I
we're
was
saying he's
that
resourceful.
It's resourceful.
You
He can
know,
work with a
because he doesn't-
tight
he can't-
budget.
Okay, guys, for
Exactly.
the sake of time,
Yeah.
let's move on.
Exactly.
Another team.
Just 1 second. He probably goes to Stan Matthews and says, Stan, I would like to have this and that and the other. And Stan says to him, look, you can only have this. And he says, okay, cool. I'll just make a plan. You know, that's exactly how it works. Yes,
Yeah, he probably, I mean, like many football clubs, you need a defensive midfielder and there are sort of 3 available on the market. And it's like, look, I want one of these 3 if we can get them. And it's like, look, at the moment, we can't get this one, but let's try and get him. I want to hold on to these players. Look, they don't want to stay. Cool. If they don't want to stay, that is life. That is football. Let's move on and then we make another plan. So, yeah, I mean, I can't say enough good things about Gavin Hunt personally.
Yeah.
Let's move on to another team that's impressing, AmaZulu, turning the corner.
Hey, that one is a
Finally.
nice one. to
Flesh in a pen.
experience.
2 games in a row.
Chiefs did it.
Yeah, look, I mean, if you look at where AmaZulu were, they were struggling to score, coming and score 3 goals, 2 in the stoppage time. You can see it's a team that is hungry, and you could tell on the celebration, it felt like they've won the Premier League, and I think that win is going to go a long way for them in terms of their confidence.
A good feeling to score 2 stoppage time goals.
Yeah, definitely. And may I just highlight that these 2 stoppage goals happened because of a new player, by the way, who is from Ivory Coast, from Cote d'Ivoire, Junior Dion. And he only started playing for AmaZulu this last season, the 2022-23 season. And in fact, he scored 5 goals in last season and he scored 2 now. He's a young man and it looks as though he wants to cement his place in AmaZulu. In fact, if it's not Junior Dion, there's another one called Uchidi coming from Nigeria. So those are the 2 firecrackers, and I see them doing quite well because I saw when they replaced Chidi, then they substituted him with Dion, and that's when he came in and really, really made a spectacular impact on in the match. So look out for those 2; they are doing wonders.
Super sub Ben Machwore.
Yeah, look, I think he was not getting game time.
Mutwari, ne?
Yeah, he was not getting game time, and as a player, he's 32. He was getting frustrated. I think a loan move makes sense. I think AmaZulu, it's a perfect fit for him,
With the window closing today, registered in time.
yeah, he can still play this coming weekend.
No. He won't play.
He won't play because they're not in MTN 8. But yeah, I think it's a good move overall for him. He's a great player. I think he deserves to be playing. Unfortunately, the amount of players that are at Paris, they're just like world class.
Yeah, and I don't think that he's had the best of luck and he was not as instrumental. I mean, it does come with a lot of experience, but I mean, joining Orlando Pirates from Bidvest when the whole saga happened.
Yeah.
And I mean, we saw him score 2 goals here, and he is a midfielder, so we're not expecting that much.
Yeah.
But you know, the previous season, I mean, he went home with not even a single goal, so that could have also, contributed to who's the coach of Orlando Pirates? Riviera.
Jose.
There we go. Not wanting to then have him as a standard player, but I mean Motswari deserves some play time still. He's 32, so he still has a couple of years.
Yeah.
so
And if you look at that midfield, I mean, if you look at Ndlondlo, he's been very instrumental. If you look at Munare, they've been playing their socks off, and they've been making things happen in the midfield. And it was difficult for him to crack into the starting 11, and I think the loan move just makes sense.
But a big shout out to him, man. We wish him the best. I think he's going to be quite instrumental, AmaZulu. I don't think that, compared to Orlando Pirates, he's going to have that amount of pressure. And I think that's what he needs right now.
Okay, let's move on to the other side of the table. Can Sean Bartlett survive this? Cape Town Spurs, 6 games, 6 losses, 3 goals.
Yeah,
I want to hear Len.
We spoke so glowingly about Cape Town Spurs before the season started. 6 games is now, I mean, when you're 3 games into the season, look, it's the start of the season. There's lots of season to come. Now it's starting to get very concerning. Len?
Is the lightning striking twice, Len? For Sean?
Look, it's difficult. I think the style of football that he's playing is not really conducive to what modern day football is. He's playing that Sam Allardyce rocket football type style. A lot of teams have moved past that, and it's very difficult to actually get results playing that kind of football. Unfortunately, he was not extremely active in the market. It was more a case of him retaining what he has as new signings versus getting players of DStv Premiership quality. There was a lot of players that were available on loan and all of that jazz. It could also be a case of Ari and his brother having been out of the Premier Division for so long that they almost trying to approach it the same way that it was approached the last time Ajax/Cape Town Spurs were in the Premier League. Right now, you need to have a scouting process that a Sundowns has, that a Pirates has, that a Supersport United has. And no disrespect to Sean Bartlett, but it just looks like his players don't look like they're there. And yes, mixing experience with youngsters is not a bad thing, but it does not look like it's filtering down, because you've got your Mortons there, you've got your Clayton Daniels's there, but all the experience that they have garnered throughout the years does not seem like it's trickling down to the youngsters that are at the side. And the only comfort I think they can take out of where they find themselves now is in 1999, Umtata Bushbucks found themselves in a similar position where they started the first 6 games without a win, but they finished mid-table. If they can emulate that, then there's still room for them to survive. Yeah.
Tepe?
Okay.
Yeah.
But we must also remember that the same Sean Bartlett was assistant manager for Kaizer Chiefs, and he was instrumental in their season. I believe it was a 2018-2019 season, and he was able to get them from 8th, if not 9th position, into like the top 3 in the following season. So he was quite instrumental in that part. And he has some, experience when it comes to coaching. He's coached Botiers Galaxy and Golden Arrows as well. So he's always been an assistant manager. And I think that because now he is at the helm of Cape Town Spurs, he still might have, certain aspects that he needs to, just consider and also just, mold. I think that if he was to, or if Cape Town Spurs rather was to employ a more Sundowns type of setup where he's not necessarily an assistant, but he would have like a peer, and I'm talking a Rulani and Gompela type of situation, he would actually do much better. I think that he still struggles, going from assistant his entire coaching career to then being the person who is running. So I think that is just that other aspect. And also, like you've mentioned, that he does have a couple of younger players. There's a young boy that I've been checking out that plays for Cape Town Spurs, and Buitumelo Khadioponi, and he comes from Orlando Pirates. And that's the other thing. I mean, he has players that I've checked most are coming from, grassroots levels, under 19, 23, and only then going to the top flight. And that's why he was mentioning that it's like they're not there, because I still think that they lack the experience. And it would be nice to have someone else who is in the coaching structures, who's going to then work hand in hand with him, just so that there is a meeting of the younger ones and, the older ones. And I think, he still has something in him. If he was able to get this team promoted to the top flight, we just need to give him a bit of a chance, but they need to start doing something differently.
Super sub Sean Bartlett, decorated career as a player.
Excellent.
Most Premier League goals combined, most Premier League goals, or tied most Premier League goals as a South African player when his time at Charlton Athletic. Can he turn it around with that experience? What do you think?
Yeah, look, it's a very difficult one because if you look at Cape Town Spurs, when they were playing at Motsepe Championship, towards the end, they score first and their game management is poor. It's very poor. If you check a lot of games that Sean has lost, he had scored first. And for me, I think the players are also letting him down. It could be what Len has said, that he's got old players that can't give him. The legs are gone, Michael Martin played for Orlando Pirates. I can't remember when was it.
Sanduka.
Nazir Ali is still there. You're going to play in your back four. You've got Nazir Ali and Clayton Daniels. Those are old guys. I'm not saying the blame is solely on them, but I'm just saying that I think he needs fresh legs that can carry the team. And I think it might be a little bit too late for him to turn around this ship. I don't know if he's gonna be. I think he's going to be the first one to get the chop.
Ooh.
Moving on, MTN 8 this weekend. Big news tomorrow. We will be joining you for a watch-along, another live watch-along. We know you enjoyed the first one. We will be with you, joining you for the Sundowns versus Kaizer Chiefs semi-final, MTN 8. Len Moleko, MTN 8, the easiest competition to win in South African football.
Not for Sundowns, because they haven't won it much, eh?
Yeah, look. You must remember, I think, and I'm not making excuses for Sundowns, a lot of the teams that tend to win the MTN 8 over the past couple of years, with the exception of Sundowns winning it, I think about 2 seasons ago, is if you don't have much commitments on the continent, it's almost easy to maneuver your way to the MTN 8, because somewhere in between, if you look at the fixtures, there is the league starting, MTN 8, if you make it to the semis, after there's international break, and then there's continental commitments, and then you go to the semifinals and. But the way Sundowns look like they set up now is, I don't think they will lose sleep over not going to the final of the MTN 8. I think Chiefs wants it more than Sundowns do. Also presents a very good opportunity for Chiefs to almost
win over the fans a little.
Yeah, and steady the ship.
Get some confidence in the side.
The players also need the belief as well, because and also again, this is a catch-22. Is it a case of so close yet so far, or is it a case of we lost in the semis anyway, it's cool? let's just see if we can make top 8, or we'll wait for other competitions and whatever type of thing. Obviously, first prize would be go to the final and win the competition. Pirates are likely to beat Stellies, and I know we're going to get to that now. I genuinely think if Chiefs go through over Sundowns, then they most likely are going to go all the way to win the MTN 8 and set the bar. And in doing that, I think they're actually going to open the playing fields, because, yes, we know the league is gone.
Yeah, no, I think the league is gone.
But it opens up whatever it is that's left.
Yep.
I'm not saying it's scraps. No, we can't look at the upcoming Black Label Cup as scraps. We can't look at the Nedbank Cup as scraps. But it's like now...
It's the most difficult to win, the Nedbank Cup, yeah?
Besides the league.
Yes.
Beside the league, yeah?
It's like, okay, cool. Now what? Who's gonna... And now it's not a case of like, okay, cool, Sundowns is gonna take everything.
Yeah.
Well, do join us for that game. Like we said, tomorrow we will be streaming live a watch along where we'll be joining you for that game, the standout fixture, 3 p.m. tomorrow. Mamelodi Sundowns versus Kaizer Chiefs. The first leg finished 1-1, if you do not recall. Sundowns, a 0-0 draw would be good enough for them to go through. But I think both sides will want to win it, and I think Chiefs should really be trying to go for a win, stay solid at the back.
They should.
Try not to concede.
Yeah.
Sundowns didn't look incredibly strong against a good Pirates side, but they got the 1-0 win on Wednesday
And
night.
the thing about Kaizer Chiefs, Marco, if they're not going to do it for themselves, they need to do it for their fans.
Yeah, the stakes are high.
That's it. I mean, they have to. And I mean, the trajectory is not one that is upward per se, but they are slightly consistent. You start to see some improvements and, some growth. It may be slight, but there is some type of growth. And I think that the Kaizer Chiefs supporters would appreciate it. I still don't see Mamelodi Sundowns being walked all over by Kaizer Chiefs.
No, good
I think Mamelodi Sundowns is just going to go in there and just prove a point, considering also that a couple of days ago they won against Orlando Pirates. So they want to just make sure they destroy the Soweto Giants. So it's going to be an interesting encounter. I can't wait.
And the first fixture, I think Sundowns were more dominant than the scoreline suggests.
Precisely.
Let's move on to the next fixture in the interest of time. I'll let you start on this one. Super Sub, your team, Orlando Pirates, going into that one. Sunday, 3 p.m., Orlando Pirates hosting Stellies with a 2-1 advantage.
We just need to go there and win that game. We are at home. I think we have to redeem ourselves,
The fans will be behind them.
The fans will be behind
should be there that you can.
Yeah, we've now lost 2 games in a row, which is very, very, very
It's
unheard of
disheartening.
for Orlando Pirates this season, So it's sort of like we need to get back to winning ways. And I think it should be an easy one for us to win on Sunday, I think we are through to the final. We'll be waiting.
So Soweto Derby
So where's
final,
the
is that
derby?
what we're saying?
Exactly.
I think that would be fun. Like,
Soweto
no
Derby final.
offense to any fans of Stellies and Sundowns who are watching this, but just in terms of, and I'm not going to act like I'm in neutral. You'll see what shirts I'm wearing tomorrow. But a Soweto Derby for the final would just be good for neutrals, good for fans of Chiefs and Pirates.
And good for stats, and also Betway, it's going to be quite interesting. You have to be decisive in that one. I mean, if you're going to be betting on Orlando Pirates, you're going to be betting on Kaizer Chiefs. It's going to get crazy when it comes to the numbers, and especially towards the match, it's going to get even more interesting. So it's going to be a good day for betting, more than anything.
Len, you look. What's up?
Flabbergasted.
No,
What's up?
I'm just listening to what you guys are saying.
You don't think Pirates will win?
Like, I can
Why are you
hear
acting
this.
like a stepchild?
No, I can hear this. Yes, I am.
So conspiracy against Sundowns and Stellies,
No,
yeah.
not even. I think, look, Stellies, there's no way they're going to overturn that result. If Moroka Swallows can go to Cape Town or the Western Cape and come away with victory against Stellies, unless if Stellies had their one eye on the cup and they were like, you know what, we're just going to put our foot off the brake and let's just focus on the cup, because this will probably be their first cup final if they do make it through.
Yeah.
But the problem again is they need to score 2 goals.
They need to score 2 goals and hope that Paris doesn't respond, and
Look, if Pirates responds with 1, then the likelihood is that it's going to be.
If they respond with 1, it's 3-2.
No. If
both is 2-1, 2-1.
Oh, 2-1. Oh, okay.
2-1, yes. So it's even Stevens, it goes to penalties. What happens then? That's a gamble. And what I'm saying with Sundowns as well, the way I watched them playing against Pirates in midweek, they did not even really look like they were on third gear.
And the last time when Stellies did beat Pirates in the opening game of the league,
yes,
it was a home game for Stellies, and we did mention that the smaller pitch
yeah,
seemed to
now they're coming to
impact
Escotini.
Pirates. So my money's there as well.
I think I honestly think
Pirates to go through a draw.
Look, I think it's not going to be a
because
draw.
a draw's enough.
I'm seeing Orlando Pirates scoring in that game, honestly speaking.
They
I
will.
think it's going to be a 2-0 win for Orlando
2-0
Pirates.
win. Okay.
will Teto be there?
I'm not too sure. I thought Ndlondlo was going to be here today, on Wednesday, you see.
But okay, Mtetwa, by the time when we're recording this, the transfer window
Would
obviously
have
closes at
elapsed,
midnight.
yes.
So we'll have to wait for midnight for all the squads to be confirmed.
And we'll update you on that in tomorrow's live stream
basically.
before
During
the game
live
kicks
stream,
off. Yeah.
So yeah.
So let's move on. It's time to jet around the world with Tepe Worldwide, powered by Betway. Get way more. If you do download the Betway app and you are a first-time user of it, be sure to use ONSIDE ZA as your affiliate code. It helps us here. And it helps the Betway people know that we sent you. So we'd really appreciate that you use that code as your affiliate code as first-time users on the Betway app. Tepe, let's jet around the world. What news do you have for us?
I get so excited when you say jetting around. Something very nice. This is a victory for everyone, women really, when it comes to football. We have been talking about this story extensively, and we have moved from the kiss of the South Hop to, what has transpired thereafter. We're talking about Spain. We are in Spain right now. Now, you would remember that there was a dispute between the Spanish women's national team, and, they had some certain grievances. And the story now is that a dispute between the Spanish team and the Royal Spanish Football Federation appears to have reached a breakthrough after the two parties, along with the government's High Council of Sport, which is the CSD, come to a series of agreements. And most of the things that were really, unhappy about was, obviously,
Rubiales,
gender, yes, and gender equality and pay and the like. Unfortunately, what happened is that the ladies had decided that they are boycotting the match. I believe they were going to play a match. There we go. The fixture was meant to be on Sweden, actually today. Later on today, and they had said that they are not going to take part in this match if their concerns and their grievances are not going to be heard or even resolved. And it said here that 21 of the 23 players selected in the squad for the upcoming games, like I said, have agreed now to play. And because the issues have been resolved, but only 2 then have decided that they are not going to continue playing because they're saying that their issues are more complex than the other 21. So it's a win once again, but unfortunately, the other ladies decided to leave the team, so that's going to be a bit of a sweet-sour moment, a bittersweet moment for the ladies. But, at least the Spanish Football Association is really doing something. And I think that most associations should be taking heed and, leading when it comes to this one. And I'm saying this because another story, and this one came out a couple of days ago. I believe it came out on Wednesday. It says here that CAF has upped the ante for the men's team, the Super Cup tournament, but not for women participating in the CAF Women's Champions League. So it says here, and I'm just going to give you the numbers and then we can just discuss this. It says that the newly crowned Super Cup champions, we remember that we talked about this, we were unhappy about where the match was taking place. It was taking place in Saudi Arabia. And it says that USM Alger walks away now with $500,000. So that's about 7.5 million South African rands after they win over Al Ahly in Saudi Arabia. You remember this last week. This is an increase of $300,000, so a good 4.5. increase from the previous years. The runners-up took away $250,000, which is 3.8 million South African rands, doubling the double than what was awarded in 2022. And with all of that happening, the women competition, everything remains the same.
Okay. Well, the money is different in Saudi. If there's anything we've learned this year, the money is different in Saudi. Super sub.
Yeah, look, I mean, why is the women's one remaining the same? Patrice needs to up it a bit.
We can't, and I mean, Patrice has already tried with Banyana and the whole situation, and it seems as though if only one stakeholder is the one who is gunning and who is vying for, equality, and I'm not even saying equality, there just needs to be a substantial increase. If that's not happening, what about the other people? What are they saying?
Yeah, and my issue is, why is it women always at the back? Why can't it start with women? All those changes as well to show that you are for women football,
I think the structures are not necessarily in place.
I suppose, yeah.
Because if you look at it now, there isn't a women's women's CAF Super Cup. It's 8 teams that are taken from different. There's only a certain number of teams on the continent that have a women's side.
Yes.
In South Africa, we should commend the likes of TS Galaxy, Royal AM,
Mamelodi
Sundowns,
and they are the reigning champions.
Janine van Wyk, FC, and all the teams that play in that
company.
League. Yes, in the league.
The women's league.
The women's league.
Yes. But
we're not gonna
no,
say
I
that,
was very away. Trust me, I was very away. But not enough is done. You can't have your 2 biggest clubs by virtue of support.
Yeah.
You can come for me, it's fine.
Yeah.
By virtue of support. And that's the big that I'm referring to. Not having women teams.
I've got an issue with that.
And for them to assemble women teams, it's a case of like, okay, cool, we'll just go next door.
For control.
Go. Can we borrow your women's team? And it will be our women's team. It's fine. Okay, sharp. That is not cool.
Do we really need all those teams to have women's team, or do we need other players? I mean, players in a sense that do we need other owners out there, people that have money to invest in women teams?
It opens the
it gets
field.
easier if it's Chiefs or Orlando Pirates because they've got the infrastructure. But what I'm saying is, where are the rich women out there that can actually step in and say, you know what, we want to do this, you know?
Basizana could have a team.
Basizana can have the team, you know?
Carol Bauer.
You guys have money.
No, we're just giving an example.
I mean, they can come to. I promise you, they can if they really wanted to.
That's
and if
what
they
I'm saying.
are really about women
No,
empowerment.
but here's the thing though. There are with regards to this, there's probably gatekeeping and what. I mean, if we look at all the owners of the 16 Premier League team or Premiership teams in this country, I think only 2 are owned by women. Mato Madlala, who owns Golden
AmaZulu.
Oh.
Arrows.
Oh,
No, AmaZulu is owned by Manzini.
yes.
Israel.
Zungu, sorry.
Zungu.
Yeah, it's
Andile
Manzini.
Zungu.
Manzini Zungu, right?
I think it's the
Madlala
clan. I think
is-
Something like that, yes.
Oh,
And then Mam
okay.
Kize. Who else? Royal AM and
Golden Arrows.
and Golden Arrows, that's it.
Yeah.
Chiefs, Pirates, Sundowns.
But that's what I'm saying.
Supersport,
It would be so nice to see actually women in the forefront of ownership of those clubs. Because what it does now, it just feeding again to the whole narrative of men dominating the game. You know what I'm saying?
Mara, are they
Okay,
giving-
sorry guys, let's continue this conversation in the comments below.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I want to
For
move
sure.
on for the
Yeah.
sake of time, because Tepe
Yes,
has one
yes.
more place for us to
Yes.
jet off to.
I just wanted to say very quickly, I'm just going to give you some numbers here. It says that the CAF Women's Champions League winners in November 2023 will earn $400,000, while the Men's CAF League will take $4 million. So that's 10%. That's what the
Sure.
women are getting.
That's shocking.
Okay,
Yes.
discuss in the comments below.
Let's discuss.
Where are we jetting off to next?
We are jetting over to Paris.
Hey, this is a nice warm holiday.
Yeah. So the Qatar investment. Okay, so I need to start this story over. So the Liga champions are said to understand that the controversy around those. Okay, wait. I need to start it from the beginning because this one has to do with a UEFA team, PSG. It is said here that they are now reportedly set to investigate 3 transfers made by PSG recently. And
Let's
once
clarify
again,
the men's side.
yes, this is talking about the men's side. It says here that the French giants have had previous run-ins. Obviously, we know this.
Financial fair play.
Precisely. And it says that this prompted the French giants to be more mindful of their, spending habits in the past. However, PSG could now face punishment for 3 of their exits if the respective deals are found to be in breach of UEFA regulations. It says here that PSG are understood to have pocketed a combined 80 million euros, which is 1.8 billion South African rands from the exits, with Verratti and Diallo having signed for Al Arabi and Draxler joining Al Ali SC earlier this week. So it seems as though once again it's going to be a matter of, them being investigated because it seems as though they might be contravening financial fair play.
Okay.
And by the way, guys, and this is the one thing that, I went through the meaning of financial fair play and, what it means. But please, Marco, exactly in layman's terms, what exactly is it?
Financial unfair play, because it actually only benefits clubs who are making money. So how the financial fair play regulations work is that they tried to stop the cash injections of especially international investors creating a dominance for certain clubs within the European Football Union. So what it was targeted towards is ultra-rich individuals who buy a football club and invest loads of their own personal money, changing the value system of the game. Things like wages, transfer fees, and things like that were greatly impacted by individual investors. The people who come to mind, Roman Abramovich, of course, the Qatari owners who moved on to PSG and the likes of Manchester City, etc., which changed the spending value of the game. Now, however, the issue I have with financial fair play is that certain clubs who generate a lot of revenue, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Manchester United, these sort of clubs are now at a competitive advantage over clubs who are unable to generate the same sort of fees. So it was an attempt to stop overspending of clubs, but I think it has created a little bit of unfairness. So what it is a club puts forward their books for the year. We create this much revenue. You're not allowed to spend more than the amount of revenue than what you've made. And that is the basic gist of financial fair play regulations.
And very, very quickly to conclude, it says here that Qatar Sports Investment, the QSI, is the main shareholder of the Parisian Giants, though, and in their proximity to the Qatari clubs, it's now called into question. So they basically sold players to somehow a shareholder, and that's why they're going to be investigated. Finally, this one is the juiciest one, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I found it to be quite interesting. It says here Ronaldo is going to get what is owed to him and is now taking legal action. He used to play, you remember, for Juventus.
Italian giants Juve are being sued by Cristiano Ronaldo. And this is now straight after a suit by their former defender, Benucci, Leonardo Benucci, who's also taken legal proceedings against Juventus for unfair treatment and unpaid wages, etc. This obviously Cristiano Ronaldo's ones coming after Juventus' inability to pay him during the COVID pandemic.
There we go.
Leonardo Benucci announcing that any earnings that he will make off of the legal lawsuit against Juventus will go to charity. Really nice gesture from Leo Benucci. So he just feels hard done by Juventus club, wants to get settled, but not for his own personal gain.
It's not a money issue, it's a principal issue.
It's a principal issue. I'm not sure that's the case for Ronaldo. No announcements as yet from him. I think
but he does a lot for charity.
He does a lot out of his own thing. So it's probably a principal issue as well. Juventus, of course, got docked a bunch of points in Serie A, finished really low in the league because of it, because of their financial fair play misdealings. So they're already in financial trouble. So these lawsuits aren't a big help to the Italian giants.
Yeah, and that's how we close it.
Okay, so we've been to Spain, we've been to Italy, we've been to France, and we've been to Saudi. Thank you so much, Tepe Worldwide. That was Around the World with Tepe Worldwide, brought to you by Betway. Getway more. Use the affiliate code ONSIDE ZA when joining the Betway app. Guys, that is that in terms of South African football. We touched a little bit on African football. I want to touch on one thing. Percy Tau,
Yeah.
doing great things at Al Ahly.
Yeah, what a start of the season for him, I mean, scoring a brace, becoming man of the match. He's just starting where he left off, I think they're starting to embrace him even more in Egypt, I think he's the star player.
We need that sort of form ahead of AFCON.
No, definitely. I think it's going to go a long way. I mean, he's confident he's going to be up there, when come January, But good start for Percy. I think he's making his name there.
Okay, I think it's a good opportunity to jet back off to our second home, the Premier League.
Yes.
Lyle Foster, slightly less good weekend for him.
Red card, Ndota.
Well, kids.
It depends what slightly good is.
Slightly less good than Percy Tau's brace. A red card.
Granted,
it's more than slightly, Len.
Look, I mean, he assisted the equalizer.
He's been in form in previous games.
He scored. Unfortunately, the Gremlin came out and said it was not a goal. But again, like Vincent Kompany came out and said, we need to understand that Lyle has been dealing with certain things in his life. So he's not going to kind of like punish him for that red card. It was silly what he did. It was.
Yeah, no,
it was very silly what he did. He should have just kept his head calm, and that elbow was not necessary. That was a red card all day. All right.
Especially if you look at where their team is, they're trying to get off that danger zone, You need all your star players in the squad, You can't be making those mistakes, Unfortunately,
And the problem with that as well is on an extension of you need all your star players, whoever it is that comes as a replacement and his return becomes much better than that of Lyle, it means now he's going to come off the bench as opposed to being a starter because he's been a regular starter.
Yeah, he has to try and make his way back in the squad, so he's impeding himself.
Work his way back.
Look, Lyle's still a young man, 23 years old. He just turned 23 at the beginning of the month. So these sort of mistakes do happen in a player's career. But we do feel for him here, and it is disappointing because he was really in a rich vein of form, and now this can set him back, which is concerning.
Now, a former English associate football referee, Mark Halsey, has stated that it was a poor decision to rule out the South African goal that could have been decisive in Burnley's 1-1 draw with Forest. So do you guys not see anything wrong with the decision that was made via VAR? Are you all in unison, to say that the decision was a good one?
VAR is VAR.
If you go with VAR,
that's what I'm saying.
If you look at the weekend in its entirety in the Premier League,
sure,
and the VAR decisions that were made, sure, we will be here until we start
watch along.
Yeah, watch along tomorrow. So nah.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
It's
it is what it is.
It's one of those things. Again, understanding VAR, I think it was in which match was it? Was it the Sheffield United match?
Hold on, guys. Can I call this a Len Maleko rant? Because
no,
we
it's
do
not,
need
it's
one.
Not, it's not.
Are you okay? Are you sure you're calm? Do you need
It's-
more beer?
No,
You're
it's
sharp.
okay.
Okay.
Was it the Sheffield United match or was it the Tottenham match where the ref went for a VAR decision? They called him on some like, your decision, maybe you might want to relook it. He went and stuck with his decision.
The penalty.
Yes, it was the penalty. I
Yeah.
think that was which match was it?
I remember that.
It was the Crystal
Sheffield
Palace
Wednesday.
versus Villa game. Yes.
Okay.
Ref stuck with his decision.
Yes, it was that one, yeah.
And you ask yourself, then why do we have?
What's the point?
Like if and you look at it, it's you have to look at it quite a number of times.
I'm not opposed to that.
But the referee
being
can still do
invited
that.
to look at the screen. I prefer it than VAR decisions in their entirety.
No, but
Because the
I think-
discretion is still with the referee.
I agree.
Yeah, that's
and
what
I
I was
much
gonna say.
and I feel that there's a greater volume of correct decisions made when the referee is called to the display and he then makes the decision. So I know that in the interest of time, that's not the best scenario. It stops the game for longer periods of time. And it's something I want to touch on in a little bit, is the amount of added time at the end of games in the Premier League currently. It's something that we discussed before the season started, but it's
getting ridiculous.
Exactly what I said before the season started was that it's ridiculous. And it's coming to fruition. And finally, I'm saying something right ahead of time, because I'm proving myself wrong every episode, it seems. But at least I got one.
Welcome back.
I mean, the results are now long past. Let's go into the fixtures coming up this weekend.
No, we're not going to up. Marco is...
It's finished.
Can you see what Marco is doing, Len?
Don't worry.
Marco, are you allowing him to do that?
Don't worry what happened. Don't worry about what happened.
What's going on? What am I missing?
Congratulations to Arsenal for beating Manchester United. I thought they were... I mean...
Brighton.
Which week are you in?
My men.
Wait, who beat
we talk about
Brighton?
losses. Brighton beat Manchester United.
Where did they beat them?
It was last weekend, man. It was a long time ago.
This weekend that just passed, I mean, Brighton.
Yeah, it was last weekend.
Congratulations to them, the 3-1
But here's the
win.
interesting thing with that, though.
No, they didn't just beat them. They mopped the floor with them.
Guys, we
Thank you, Tepe.
are
But
short on time.
Wait. No, granted. We are short
Why?
on time. There's two things that I want us to look at.
Then it's
here.
going to be very brief.
No, like he's really trying to sweep this under the carpet. Yes, speak.
All right. If you look at Ten Hag's run, all right, last season, this season, first 5 games, last season, he won 3 in the first 5, lost 2, and then 0 draws. In those 5 games, he was playing against Brighton, Brentford, Liverpool, Southampton, and Leicester, of which Brighton was one of the teams that actually defeated him in that.
It's the last team to get a win at Old Trafford, yes.
Yes. This season, Ten Hag, 2 wins, 3 defeats in his first 5. Is this not a similar trajectory or leg thereof? Because trajectory is when you go up, right?
Mm.
So a leg thereof. In what has been a trend when it comes to Man United managers that go over a season and they go into a next season.
It's a downward trajectory, just to correct you there, because I have to be right about something.
Okay.
But
wow.
look, I think there's a cultural issue at the club. There's no shortage of information or news stories on the troubles that Man United are having. You look at Anthony, you look at Jadon Sancho, you look at what happened with Mason Greenwood, obviously, before in the past.
Maguire.
You look at the Harry Maguire issues. There's
It's a
endless
lot.
news about the cultural issues that are facing Manchester United off of the pitch. There's also a full bag of injuries facing Manchester United at the moment. Do you blame Erik ten Hag directly? Sure, I think he needs to stand up and be counted for his failings. I think in the transfer window, he's made a lot of appointments that were completely his decision, that perhaps he needed the support of a sporting director, because he seems to just sort of go into the market and pick up players that
As and
used
when.
to play for him. And then he seems to try and force that to work, even when it's clearly not working. I've had my words about Anthony several times on this show. And it seems like Ten Hag is desperate for that to work because it's his boy, instead of trying alternatives, right? And so, yes, sure, the Manchester United's problems aren't managerial, and I think that's what you're getting at, is that every manager since Sir Alex Ferguson has had issues, and it's been a different batch of players from what David Moyes had. I don't think there's even one still left in the squad.
Jones?
That was Phil Jones is now a coach for the under-18s, so he's no longer part of the Manchester United squad.
Sorry, man. You had him in defense over the weekend.
He just came back from Leicester, eh? The guy came from Leicester.
Yes, that's who I'm referring to.
Johnny Evans.
Johnny
but,
Evans,
okay,
sorry,
but
not
he
Phil
was
Jones,
never a
Johnny
David
Evans.
Moyes player. He was a Sir Alex Ferguson player.
But he is from that era still.
Yeah, but guys, Johnny Evans is old. He's just
In
filling
fact,
numbers
isn't
there.
he the last Academy United player to actually break into the starting 11 and consistently stay there? Ever since he left, there hasn't... Oh, and Rashford. Ever since the two of them, there hasn't really been any
Academy players?
academic graduates that came up and literally lit up the United starting 11.
Interesting.
Alejandro Garnacho?
Lit up the starting 11.
Oops.
Garnacho is only doing that now.
I said lit.
But Johnny Evans didn't come in and play every game at centre back. Johnny Evans was.
No, granted, but
Marcus Rashford is the best example of a United Academy player being a real first choice player since the class of 92, perhaps. Of like Ryan Giggs's, David Beckham's, Nicky Butts, Gary Neville's, players who played week in, week out. But Johnny Evans was not that player. He played a lot of games for Man United. But,
Evans was there during the honey days.
Yes, but he's an old man. That's why he was there during the honey days. He's old. It was a long time ago, Len.
So he's a throwback.
He's a throwback.
TBT.
Guys,
but he's still there.
We don't have much time.
Okay.
I want to get into this weekend's fixtures.
Yeah.
Because let's go through all of them because it is the Premier League and we still have some Champions League to talk about and we've run out of time, to be honest. Crystal Palace versus Fulham. Crystal Palace at home. Both pretty good sides, both off the backs of fair results in terms of where they expect to be. Of course, Fulham beating Luton at home in their last fixture, but Crystal Palace losing to Aston Villa, which is a very different set of games. Aston Villa, obviously, high-flying Luton Town, one of my biggest favourites to go down. Crystal Palace at home against Fulham. Tepe?
Crystal Palace against Fulham at home. So when I'm looking at the head-to-head stats, and you can also get that on Betway, by the way, the last encounter they had was on the 20th of May. It was a 2-2 draw. Fulham won in 2022 against them 3-0. It's probably going to be a draw for me. I don't see them being great. They don't necessarily come out with big results when they play against each other. So I'm saying a draw for this one.
Or Crystal Palace. They're at home. They need to get back to winning ways. I'm going to go with Crystal Palace.
Well wishes to Roy Hodgson, who's taken ill. He might not be there for this game. So best wishes to him. He's been an absolute servant of the Premier League in years gone by, and our best wishes to him. Might affect the players a little bit, but I still expect Crystal Palace to be just ever so slightly too strong for Fulham.
Did you know that he used to play his football in South Africa?
I did not know that.
Oh, is it? Where?
For Highlands Park, I think.
Wow.
There's a team, I think it's Highlands Park or a city team but he used to play football in South Africa, actually.
Oh, that's dope.
Roy Hodgson. As a player, back in the 60s or 70s or something like that. It could have been Highlands Park. I think it is Highlands Park. Or Berea Park, sorry. It is a park, but a Berea Park. It's Berea Park, not Highlands. Sorry, Berea Park.
Good stat, Len. Good stat. Thank you for that.
Based on the absence of good old Roy, I genuinely think Fulham for the win.
Okay.
Luton Town hosting Wolves.
Hey, those two, that's why I feel
Both concerning. Luton getting into the feel of things, I think they are playing better football, but it does seem like too much of a step up for them.
Yeah, and also Wolves, they just scores first and they can't maintain the game. They can't manage the game. I think I'm going to go for the draw for that one.
Okay. I'm not going to ask Super Sub for this one. Manchester City hosting Nottingham Forest.
Please don't.
It's Forest.
Standard.
City to win.
Standard.
For the Luton game, I would go for both teams to score. Whether it's a draw or a win, I don't know, but both teams to score.
Wolves is going to win this one. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no. I'm placing my bet as we speak. Actually.
Hey, man, they can win 2-1, 3-1, 4-1. Both teams to score.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to do an overs even on Manchester City. I think they'll score a couple against Nottingham Forest. They'll win by more than 2 goals.
Ah, nice.
So I think 2.5 overs.
With all the
At home against Forest?
I'll go
Forest aren't bad.
They were at home against Red Star Belgrade. They only managed 3. And I think I bet
3-1.
I bet
from a second half performance because the first half.
No, fair enough. But like you saw how bad the goalkeeping was on the first 2 goals that came in. But that's a story for another day.
We'll get to Champions League in a little bit. But
look, City win straight City win.
Brentford versus Everton. I fancy Brentford at home. Everton free falling.
777. Oh, I'm saying 777 because that's the consortium that's in the bid to actually.
And the thing about
And I want to
Brentford,
ask Marcos something.
And
actually.
7
Yeah.
losses in a row. Or what?
Something like that, yeah.
I know we're doing the picks, but I would just have this in my mind, and I wanted to ask you guys. With Everton struggles, and if you look at where they are sitting on the log, and if you look at Chelsea as well, are we going to absolve Frank Lampard at some point?
To be honest, Frank, I was a big fan of Frank Lampard's career as a player. And I thought he did a very good job at Derby County in his first team management job. Since then, it has been so extremely poor and devastating to sides.
It is.
The complete loss in confidence with his very poor record as a manager. Everton, Chelsea, he did so poorly.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But could it be the structures within Chelsea and structures within all those shortcomings those two teams had? Could have they played a factor? Because also the current manager seems to be struggling.
Here's
it's a
something
trend.
interesting. Since Todd Boehly took over Chelsea, right? Thomas Tuchel was the manager. First 5 games before he got sacked. Well, when he started the 22-23 season, subsequently, I think after his first 6 games, he got sacked. But on the basis of balance, I will look at the first 5 games each. Thomas won 2, drew 1, lost 2. He played against Everton, Spurs, Leeds, Leicester, and Southampton. Graham Potter, who subsequently replaced him, his first 5 games, he won 3, drew 2, no losses.
Okay.
He played Palace, Wolves, Brentford, Villa, and Manchester United, which was one of the draws. Frank Lampard won 1, lost 4-0. Won 1, lost 4-0 draws. It was against Wolves, Brighton, Arsenal, Brentford, and Bournemouth. Pochettino won 1, drew 2, lost 2. There's a level of consistency in terms of return of points. And this is since Todd Boehly took over.
For me, I think Chelsea were the number of goals that you expect them to score in a game on the front of their shirt. They used to be sponsored by 3, and you'd think, oh, Chelsea going to score 3 today. Now there's nothing there.
So
there's
0.
nothing
But
coming.
let's leave it at that. Yeah,
Interesting.
it was just interesting for
Because
me.
if you look at the different, just a bit 10, 15 seconds, if you look at the difference in ownership or whoever it is that owns a club, I don't think since the start of last season to this season, Tuchel, Potter, Lampard, Poch, there is no way Roman Abramovich would have had 4 coaches in that short space of time. At best 2. An interim
And
from
he
last
was
season.
he was still known for getting rid of.
Yeah, he was
managers.
very
Yes.
brutal.
Yeah. So
I think
they are
Todd
doing a
Boehly
royal
was
AM. I'm
stuck
sorry,
longer than most
Chili Boys.
expected with Graham Potter.
But his return in terms of points is higher than everybody else because his first 5, he won 3 and he didn't last long. And I don't understand what the reason was to get rid of him because also it was still his first season.
They were probably expecting even more, but it seems as
Yeah,
though it's
but
just
anyway.
gone
Look,
worse.
they had just won the Champions League, hey?
With Tuchel, who
With
got sacked in the first 5 games
So there's the mistake.
or 6.
Let's move on. Manchester United traveling to Burnley in the Premier League.
Burnley
We
to
already know
win.
what's going to happen.
I just had to say that. Sounded right.
Yeah, look, Man United's fortunes looking very poor. Rasmus
they're
Højlund did
form.
get his first goal for the club
They form.
Yeah, but Burnley has been
against
playing poor
Bayern
away
Munich
and
in the
home.
Champions League, but obviously that game's still going the way we
Do
expected.
you think with the Man United dilemma, I know we mentioned a bit of it, the absence of, and I think that's what Brighton was so very good at doing, they almost stretched out their back 4 to not allow or to neutralize what was supposed to be wing play from United, which was non-existent because you didn't really have an enforcer winger who was coming at the Brighton defenders.
Yes, well, Marcus Rashford, because he's not had a number 9 to supply really in the last few years at Manchester United. United haven't had a real number 9 striker. We were relying on Martial, who's injured more than he's not. You're looking at the Dutch player Weghorst, who wasn't a real quality number 9 to supply. So Marcus Rashford got all his goals coming in on his right foot and having a shot. Brighton seemed to ever so slightly nullify that from Marcus Rashford, who perhaps needs to, now that Højlund's in the side, adjust his game and look more interested in delivering crosses. Bruno Fernandes was deployed on the right wing, who we know he's not a winger, which Ten Hag adjusted for the Wednesday night game against Bayern Munich, which it's Bayern Munich, so let's not dig too much in that. Well, there's no hoping for the best, Len. It went poorly. But Højlund did get his first goal, but he adjusted that and he went with Pellistri on the right wing, which I think might be something to do in the Premier League as well. Let's move on to Sunday's fixtures. And this is the big one and the one to look at for the weekend. Arsenal versus Spurs. Arsenal at home. Good record in the North London derby. Tepe, give us the head-to-head in that one.
So we are talking Arsenal and
Spurs.
Give me 1 second. I'll give you now. It's a big match, by the way. So the head-to-head match between Arsenal and Spurs in the past 5 encounters. I'm going to go back all the way to 2021. It was a 1-0 win for Tottenham. And in 2021, once again, they had an encounter, and Arsenal winning 3-1 against Tottenham. In 2022, we had Arsenal once again go up against Tottenham, and Tottenham won. So as it stands, it's 3-1. 2022, we had another Arsenal 3-1 win that was in 2022. The most recent match was on the 15th of January, and it was an Arsenal 2-0 win. So as it stands, it seems as though Tottenham has had 2 wins and Arsenal has had 3. So it's 3-2
in the last 5 games. So, and Arsenal historically have a good record in the North London derby. They are the slightly better side.
Yes, and they tend to do very well at home. In fact, for the past 5 matches,
but both teams unbeaten in the Premier League.
Yeah,
two of the 4 sides that are currently still unbeaten. I expect there to be 3 sides unbeaten at the end of this game.
So it's City?
I don't think this is a draw.
Okay, so...
No, it hardly ever becomes a draw with the London derby.
Never.
Sorry. But then again, you take into account that, and we spoke about this just prior to the season starting, that you've got a Spurs team that has rested the whole week, no European commitments, none whatsoever.
Yep.
And Arsenal, who welcomed... PSV, yes, they beat them convincingly, granted.
Yeah, it was a good win.
But a lot of their first team players were involved in that game. I don't know if David Raya is going to be used as a keeper or is it going to be reverted back to Aaron Ramsdale. But because of the excitement of going back into the Champions League, Arteta went with a very strong team. Spurs showed that, hey, give me 12 minutes. I'll show you what I can do. Just give me 12 minutes. And I will win the game. I mean, they came back against Sheffield United.
So you're going for Spurs?
What are you saying?
It's at the Emirates. No, I'm saying advantage and rested legs are more with Spurs.
Okay.
But
home ground
advantage is with Arsenal.
Give us your pick. I want your pick.
Big dog.
Both teams to score.
Who's
Arsenal
winning?
to win.
I see
Both
Arsenal
teams to
winning
score.
this one.
Hey, you can. This is my Betway, Baba.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Tottenham to win that one.
Nice. I see Arsenal winning this one. In fact, when they play at home, they tend to do exceptionally well. It's surprising when they lost against drew against Fulham.
Toughest call of the weekend.
Yeah.
I want to skip it, but I can't. I'm betting on all the Premier League fixtures for this match week, and I'm going to back a marginal Arsenal win. Brighton at home to Bournemouth. I think we all know what's coming there.
It's a big ball.
I think we know what's happening at Stamford Bridge on Sunday at 3:00. Aston Villa going to give a bit of a dribbing to Chelsea. I don't expect Chelsea to even score.
Chelsea.
Liverpool at home at Anfield. This is the other big game of the weekend.
Yep.
To West Ham.
It's a draw for me.
I'm going for West Ham.
Tepe?
I'm going for Liverpool.
Because Antonio said, I'm going to show them.
I'm going for Liverpool.
You think...
Hey, he said he does not see Liverpool for nothing.
Who am I to argue with Mikel Antonio?
Exactly.
I will. Liverpool win. and Newcastle United against Sheffield United, travelling all the way to Sheffield. Newcastle, poor vein of form. Newcastle losing their opening Champions League fixture, drawing their opening Champions League fixture. Sorry, it looked like they lost against AC Milan because Newcastle went there. I don't know how they got the result. So that is a wrap-up of the upcoming Premier League fixtures. Guys, we'll get into more of this tomorrow because we have to wrap up the show. We'll talk about the Champions League, which just went past. Thank you, ballers, for joining us on this one. This has been ONSIDE ZA, powered by Betway. Get way more. Remember to use the affiliate code ONSIDE ZA when joining on the Betway app. Big thank you to Super Sub, Len Moleko, Tepe Worldwide, and thank you to you all. Please, discussion points. I was trying to get us down under time. Can't do it. We talk too much here.
Well done, though. You really accomplished great things
I really
today.
did try. Yeah. Guys, thank you so much. Comment down below. Continue the discussion. And we'll see you tomorrow for the MTN8 semi-final. Mamelodi Sundowns, Kaizer Chiefs. Let's do this.
Whatever you do,
bet your way with Betway and get way more.
And
we're out.
And stay on side.
Don't be offside, guys.